with Alyssa and Rooster. Today we're just doing a training session / ask us anything. We may do a little work with the saddle, maybe a little with the trailer. We'll just kind of see how Rooster's feeling today and just base the session off of him. So I'll turn it over to Alyssa, and then you guys can just ask questions as we go. We'll try to get to most of them. If I miss one, just re-ask it if you don't mind, and we'll try and hit it. So thank you guys for being here. Can everyone hear okay, I guess, would be a good first question. Do we have audio?
Testing, testing.
Hi, Zamina.
Rooster. Such a good boy.
Can anyone hear us? Oh, there we go. Scott Schuler says, I can hear y'all just fine. Thank you, Scott. Hi, Gwen. Hi, New Mexico. Thanks for being here. All right, we'll just let Alyssa kind of show you what she does. We're going to try and keep this right around 1 hour is kind of what we're shooting for. Good morning, Jennifer. Yeah, so if you have questions, jump in. Obviously, we don't expect anyone to watch for a full hour, but we're going to stick around for an hour for folks who pop in a little bit later. So let us know any questions, and until then, I'll just let Alyssa kind of talk through what she's been working on with Rooster and progress through a little session. Still cold in South Carolina. Yeah, that when I scheduled this yesterday, it was nice and warm, and we're like, oh, this is going to be so fun. And then this morning it was snowing, and it's about 30 degrees here, and Alyssa's like, why are you making me do this? Hey, Cray, thanks for being here. Awesome. Cray says the full hour.
Nice.
Up in Alaska, it's warm. I think you might have a different perspective of warm up there in Alaska. We might just be sissies here in Idaho.
It's not too bad out here today, but it was snowing just a couple minutes ago, so.
Yes.
It's very cloudy. We'll see if we get snowed on.
45 and sunny. That is pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, it is. Sun came out just in time for this, so that's good.
We got Rooster a chicken. You can see him on the ground there.
It's moved in the night, so we played with it at least a little bit. Are you interested in your chicken at all? This is not really. He stepped on it and it squeaks. Well, it used to squeak. Maybe it's broken now. But he was like,
here's
what?
Our first question. Did your friends name the new Mustang yet?
She hasn't. Not yet. She's still looking for a name. So her others are named after like Native American words, and so she might name her something kind of along those lines too. She was thinking maybe something Spanish, and then so she's not sure, but I don't think she's found a name quite yet.
It's kind of hard to name a horse. I know that like firsthand. It's a big commitment. Scott still says Spirit, which is a great one, especially
she does look like Spirit.
Buckskin, long forelock. So Alyssa, I'll jump in with a question here. How many days have we had Mr. Rooster?
This will be day number 22. Oh, buddy.
Oh, and someone says, how tall is he? That's a great question. That was actually maybe one of our goals for today would be to use the measuring stick on Rooster. That's a great question.
He's around 14.3-ish, somewhere in there.
Someone says, why did you name your Mustang Rooster?
Just because we like Rooster Cogburn. Seems like a cool character, full of grit. And Rooster just seems like a neat name. You got eye bugger here.
Hopefully he never has to wear an eye patch, though.
No, don't wear an eye patch. That would
only for fun on Halloween, maybe. Hey, Rick. Welcome. Thank you, Zamina. Zamina.
So I'm not in a hurry with this halter. He still gets a little bit.
How old is he? He is turning 3 in April.
Yeah, and that's an estimation, but somewhere around this spring he'll be 3. He might already be 3 right now.
Yep.
We're not exactly sure, but boy. So I just do this a few times because he's not he's not hard to catch. I could just stick the halter on him right away, but he just kind of gets a little bit tight with the halter. So I like to just do this every day and just make sure he's not worried about the halter.
Good question from Folger just came in. How do you pick a Mustang or any horse that's unbroke? Like, what do you look for in a good horse, whether it's Mustang or just untrained domestic horse?
Yeah, that is a good question. And man, there's a lot of different things. So obviously you want to make sure that they're like sound, that they don't have any lamenesses. It's nice if they have nice straight legs, and good feet. And like with domestic horses, you have the option to do like a pre-purchase exam, which is always nice if you're looking for your first horse. Usually a vet can do that for you, and you can get their opinion on the horse. Mustangs, you don't have that option because they can't be handled. So you just have to do your best to watch them. But it's nice to see them, if you can, at every gait, walk, trot, lope, both directions. And yeah, so besides that, and everyone has a different thing they look for as far as conformation. For me, I think his conformation's awesome. But I like a super nice, soft eye. So you like a lot of times you can see the whites of their eyes if they're a little bit worried, or their eyes will look kind of starey if they're worried about stuff, where his are just, he almost looks kind of sleepy. And he's always just like blinking softly, and you hardly ever see the whites of his eyes. Now he knows I have grain in my pocket, huh? Yes. And so that was one thing I really liked about him. Like just looking at his face, he looks very sweet. His eyes look nice and calm. Watching him with the other horses, he wasn't the one that was like instigating fights or picking on others. He was just kind of doing his own thing. Didn't really seem to be bothered by the others. Like I was trying to take my hat and see if I could get him to look up, because Jason wanted to take a picture of him, and this is when he's in the Mustang pens. And they were all eating their hay that they'd been fed. And I spooked a couple of the others, and they took off running, and he, like, I don't even think he looked up. He was just kind of like, okay, whatever, like, went back to eating. So I really liked that about him. And then when we sorted him out in the pens, then he was very, like, chill compared to a lot of the others. And, I mean, that causes a lot of anxiety for him because they're getting sorted out, and, you know, but he just was, like, moving around, didn't seem to be overly crazy, wasn't running into panels or anything like that. So yeah, that's what I look for. Some people look at the little swirl called whorls on their forehead. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but all the horses I've had that have been the best horses have a pretty low single whorl, usually right in between their eyes, and he does have that. So, I mean, that's fitting. But
all right, let's jump into some quick hitters. I'm getting way behind on the questions here. Is he your forever horse?
yes, absolutely.
She is absolutely in love with him. She talks about him constantly, and we're always impressed with him. Next question, when will he be in with the Mules? And the answer is as soon as possible.
Yeah, he could probably go in any time now. He's met him through the fence quite a few times. The Mules are overly obsessed with him, so I think they might mug him. I don't think he's like a big kicker or anything, but that's the only thing to be considerate of, is that he doesn't feel pressured like he needs to kick at the Mules, and that the Mules don't like overdo it as far as the greetings go. So he's met him quite a few times through the panels, and he's just kind of like, I don't know, he's just kind of like, whatever, cool, nice to meet you. He doesn't really care about him. They care more about him. But we're gonna move this pen over right up next to the Mules pen. We have a back area that we're gonna make into a little bit bigger dry lot for him, and then we'll extend it for the Mules eventually when he's in with them. But so he'll be right up against the fence, and they can all meet. And then after a few days of that, then we'll get him to go in. Are you eating my strings? What are you doing, you goofball?
Another question. What does mug mean?
Mug.
When you say mug, like,
oh,
I think the Mules, I think
like
you said
gang
something
up
about
on
the,
him. Like they're like overbearing. They are just like, hi, how are you? And all of them are like, ah. And I think he might just be like, oh my gosh, this is so much. You know, there's like Mules on every side of me. And so I just don't want him to feel like he's getting ganged up on by the Mules.
And then the next question is, How long did it take for him to really start to trust you?
I mean, there's still times now that like I'll do something and he's like, "What are you doing?" But I feel like for the most part he trusts me. I don't know. It was really just a few days before he was okay with me asking him to do stuff, but I still am mindful not to push his boundaries too far to where that trust is gonna get broken. And at first, like him, like touching him with my hand, he was like not okay with. So I just didn't push that, and I think that helped to build trust. Just being like, okay, I see that you're not okay with that. We don't need to do that yet. Like, that's fine. And so once we got that going, then he was like, okay, you're not so bad. So I think just not pushing him in the beginning really helped to speed that process up.
Is he only going to be a trail horse, or are you going to do roping, etc.?
Probably not roping, because I'm not a very good roper. I like to play around with a lariat and like rope the dummy, but as far as actually like roping, not great. But I would like to, maybe, we'll see, do like mounted shooting with him. I think that would be really fun. And then, yeah, obviously trails and stuff like that. I don't know what else we'll end up doing. Like, part of the problem is we live pretty remote, so there's not a lot of horse events around where we live to go to. Like, we'd have to haul hours and hours to go to a lot of them. And the other problem is just time. Like, we don't have a whole lot of time to be gone at a lot of like shows and things like that. And so that just hasn't really been like a big part of our life lately. But mounted shooting would be fun. It's really expensive to get into because you have to buy like actual handguns for that. They just shoot blanks. But so that would be fun. It is just a lot of money to get into, and then a long ways to haul to go to any practices and stuff. So we'll see, but that would be pretty fun, I think.
Next question. Oh shoot, I'm forgetting it as I'm talking. Oh, did you get training on working with horses, or do you just kind of learn as you go?
A little bit of both. So I got my first horse when I was 9. I'll make this super fast, but and was raised with that horse, like very traditional horsemanship. Like, you get a bigger bit if you can't get him to stop. You put spurs on if you can't get him to go, that kind of thing. And that horse was a 19-year-old off of a like a dude ranch, and he had learned how to basically not go on trail rides. So he'd like back all the way to the barn with people, or rub him off on a fence or whatever. So he was kind of a problem horse, I guess. And the traditional methods just like never worked well for me and him. And when I was 13, I decided that I wanted to find a little bit better way to work with him. So I started studying Monty Roberts' join up. I actually learned about that from like the old Heartland books before it was a show. So anyway, I got into that, joined up with him, and that just like totally changed our relationship. And so I was like, there is definitely a better way to work with horses. So I I actually started with Pirelli and used to be really into Pirelli. And I know some people don't like them, some people love them. But he taught me a lot, and a lot of how to work with horses in a better way and like understand and communicate with horses. And so that was really good for me. So I did that until I was in my teens, and then found Buck Brannaman and that style of horsemanship and really got into that. But I had jobs throughout high school. Like, I colt started for a cutting and reining horse trainer. So I was the person to put the first rides on the colts, and they were haltered when they were weanlings and then turned out until they were 2 and basically unhandled when we brought them in, and they're pretty touchy. So they taught me a lot. And then had actually was a self-employed horse trainer for a couple years when I was in my early 20s. And I got tired of training for the public. It seemed like a lot of people would hand their horse off to me, and I'd get it going and build this relationship with this horse, and then I'd hand it back and they wouldn't change what they were doing. And so they would end up having problems with their horse again. And so I ended up just kind of like buying, rehoming, and selling horses. And that was a lot more fun for me because then I could really make a change with that horse and get it into a good home. So what are you doing? You got an itch? Oh, yes.
All right, you guys are asking some great questions, and I'm getting to like a 10th of them. So I apologize. Keep the questions rolling. Quick hitter. Do Mustangs have tough feet?
Yes.
Okay. Are
overall,
Mules
yes.
or Mustangs harder to train?
They're about the same.
Okay. Nice job on the quick answers. I forgot what was coming next as far
They
as
both
questions.
require patience and just more time to think about things.
Jenny said she does mounted archery, and I thought that was
That would
awesome.
be fun. I've thought about doing that too. We really don't have any groups that do that around here that I know of. But I want to get a trad bow and just play around with that here, just for fun.
Awesome. And sorry, I was trying to keep track of questions while Alyssa was answering that last one, and my little pea brain lost them.
Uh-oh.
Here's another one. Thanks for saving me, Keith. Would you consider helping others to adopt a Mustang?
Yeah, definitely. Like, if any of you don't know how it works and want to reach out to us, our email is in our bio link. And I'd love to help you guys if you have any questions. Like, I'm not an expert on it. Like, this was our first Mustang we adopted, but I did learn a lot through the process. So yeah, I feel like I can at least be somewhat helpful.
It's actually one of our goals to help get more of these guys adopted.
Yes.
Next
and we
question.
Well, go ahead and ask your question.
Good question, TM. How do I become a member of your channel? I actually don't know exactly how.
You have to go to our main channel page, and then there should be a spot where it says join. It might say join membership. I'm not certain. I think I've added a link in the description on each video as well, where it's like become a member, and I put the link in there. But yeah, it's kind of hard to find, I think. So that is a good question.
Awesome. Next question. Would it be safe for a beginner to train a mule?
Yeah, I would think so. I would definitely get a mentor. Like Ty Evans is a great muleman, and he really has an online video library that's really helpful if you don't have time to go to a clinic or anything like that. I would definitely check that out. It's like $10 a month, and he has a lot of really good videos on there. But basically, if you get stuck, just find help. Find help from someone like Ty or another horseman that has a lot of patience. Don't find someone that's really hard on them, because that doesn't work with mules very well, we've found.
Awesome. And TM, thank you for asking about the members thing. That is something that we don't expect anyone to do. We're still honored that anyone spends time watching our stuff and commenting, but it does help support the channel. Next question. Can you talk, I kind of forgot the exact question, but talk a little bit about mule and horse saddles and what we use. Quickly.
Yeah. Every mule is different and every horse is different. He has a pretty flat back for a horse, partially because he's very young. Horses, as they mature, usually they get a little more sway to their back. Mules have a pretty flat back, but Clyde is built very similar to him right now. Clyde actually might have a little more sway than he does. So, I mean, they make mule trees that are very flat trees. They make horse trees that usually have a little more rock to them. But there's not one brand, one saddle that's just going to fit a mule. So, unfortunately, I wish there was, because then it'd be a lot easier to answer this question. But you really just need to go through a saddle fitter or try a bunch of saddles just like you would on horses. And it just really depends on the mules. I have a McCall horse saddle that I use on Clyde, and it fits him pretty good. It's not perfect, but we work with some pads, and it works good enough. It doesn't make him sore or anything. And Riata has an HR, a Hud Roberts saddle, which has a mule tree in it, but that doesn't necessarily fit her perfectly either. So you just do the best you can, try to get good quality pads, and talk to a saddle fitter if you need more help, because we're definitely not experienced in that aspect. So
one of our most commonly asked questions just came in, and it's a super good one, and it's a common misconception. And it is, what are the differences between training mules and training horses?
The way we train horses and mules, there's no difference at all. If you're old school, hard-handed with horses, you're probably not going to have a great time with mules. I feel like the way this Mustang thinks and a mule thinks is very similar. Try to stand with my back to the wind so that the mic doesn't catch all this wind. But yeah, they just need patience and time to think is the main thing. A lot of people get in a hurry with them, and if mules are, consider something dangerous, then they don't want to do it. And if you can just work with patience and get them through that works great. If you start trying to really pressure them through it, a lot of times they just shut down, and that's where they're stubborn. They're not really stubborn. People just don't have a lot of patience for them sometimes.
That's a super good question.
Yes, it is. All right, let's go this way.
Oh, good question, Scott. What's y'all's forever horses and mules for both of us to answer? And then remind me to answer Craig's question, what do they think about? But first off, what are our forever equines?
Like the ones we own?
Yep.
I am pretty certain that Josie will never be sold. Riata definitely will never be sold. And the reason is because she is very, very sensitive and a lot of people would not give her the time it takes. And so to put her into a good home would be really hard to get the right home for her. And so we'll just keep her forever so that she doesn't have to go through what she did in the past.
Mom's on here. Hi, Mom and Dad. We love you guys.
But Rooster, he's not going anywhere.
So definitely Riata, Rooster, probably Josie. It's so hard to get rid of any of them because you fall in love with all of them.
Cedar we bought specifically to rehome. Like she needed a little help. Our friend needed her to go to a good home because he was moving, so we just bought her for cheap. He gave us a really good deal. We're like, hey, we're just gonna get her through a bucking issue and rehome her. And it's been like 2 years and we still have her. So, and we could have sold her probably quite a while ago, but it's just hard because you work with them and you get them going good, and then you're like, well, hopefully she goes to a home that someone has some patience, and you know, like they all have their own little quirks, and so it's like just trying to find that perfect home for them is really hard.
Rex, I'm with you. Mules are absolutely awesome animals. All right, Craig's question next. What do they think about? And then we'll answer what's up with Mesa. So I'll answer what Riata thinks about is making sure the situation is safe when she, like, quote unquote stops to think. And if you put a bunch of pressure on her while she's figuring out if the situation is safe, she will just stand there and not move until you give her time to think. So then what's up with Mesa? Mesa is cooped up with a fancy shoe on her foot.
Yes.
She had a broken coffin bone, but it was very minor and she will heal up. But she's in solitary confinement and it's driving her bonkers. She's in a little pen, but she still likes to buck around. Oh my.
Blowing all
Windy. Hopefully that's not too bad on the audio. I
yeah,
apologize.
tell us if it gets too bad.
But yeah, Mesa is healing up really well, but she's just losing her mind in her little pen. And we are friends with Clever Cowgirl, but we've never met her, if that makes sense. We love her channel. She's a really good person. You can tell just by listening to her. We've talked to her via email, and we're huge fans. We want to meet her soon, but we haven't met her yet. Horse Girl says, have you ever tried to get on Rooster?
I've gotten on him part way. I've never swung a leg all the way over him. But last night I got on and just like put a knee up on his butt. So, and just bareback. So yes, kind of. I wanted it to be a good experience. So I didn't want to push it to the point where he started feeling nervous about it. So.
A lot of the Mustang training you see on YouTube is for competitions. And so they're kind of put in a place where they have to train quickly and put a lot on their horses. I mean, no one has to, but they're trying to do well in these competitions that are usually like 100-day type competitions. So they're hustling through stuff. And we have the benefit of not having to rush through anything. Rooster's not going to be doing any competitions or anything like that. And like Alyssa said, he's our forever horse. So we just want to set him up for success, continue to build that bond, and do things in a timeline that's good for him. Next question. In your process, how long until you start to ride them?
It just depends on each one. I don't really have a time frame. I have more things that are like a checklist of mine that I like to go through. So each one just takes a different amount of time. Like Rooster's checking him off pretty quick, but there's definitely still some things I want to do before I like saddle him fully. So part of the reason I'm waiting is just because it's muddy and slick in here and I don't have a better spot to work with him. So that's part of it.
And Rex, yes, he is very naturally calm. Even though he was born in the wild and stuff, he looked calm in the holding facility. But if anyone hasn't seen the videos of picking him up and stuff, You can see him running down the alley, and he comes up to our trailer and just steps right in. Oh, what's the top speed for a horse? Oh, and I want to answer the question of what time it is. Someone's asked that twice. It's about 10:30. And Alyssa, you would know this better than me. What's the top speed for a horse?
I think just rough answer is like 45 miles an hour, but obviously it's going to depend a lot on the horse. Like a big draft horse is not going to go nearly as fast as a thoroughbred, but usually around that 45 miles an hour on average.
And then let's talk about horses / mules and dogs, and how to introduce dogs to a mule or a horse, especially one that might be prone to stomping a dog.
Yeah. And a big misconception is that like mules are dog stompers, and I mean all equines can be dog stompers. Like I've had horses in the past that would stomp dogs. So it's not just mules, it's not just donkeys, it's not just horses, it's all of them have that tendency. Like Rooster, he's kind of interested in maybe stomping out a dog. So I don't let the dogs, like our dogs know they're not allowed in the pens when we're not with them. They're really not allowed in the pens when we're with them anyway. I just don't like them to be in the equine's pens. But like when I take him out and walk him around the yard and the dogs are loose, then it's my job to make sure that he doesn't stomp those dogs. So whether like the dogs come over and maybe he's acting kind of weird, then I'm going to tell like my dog to go away. I'm also going to make sure like I've got a good handle on him that I could be like, hey, don't stomp my dog. And so the same when we're riding them up in the trails and stuff. And that's what we do. And it works good. And pretty soon they get used to the dogs running around and being crazy, and it's not a big deal.
Oh, good question. Do you know how long it takes convicts to train Mustangs? And that's a great question for those who don't know. There are inmate training programs, I know, in Colorado and Nevada at least. And I don't know the time frame. Do you, Alyssa?
I don't know if it's like a 60-day or 90-day program or if it's longer than that. No, I don't.
They usually just kind of put a start on them. They're not
they're
like
very green.
Yeah, super well trained. They're just easy to handle, I think, in the most part, or at least they're started to have a good handle.
Yeah, I don't know how many rides. I think it varies on the horse probably, but there you go.
Man, thank you guys for all the good questions. This is really fun, and I apologize. I'm trying to keep up, but I do forget the questions as Alyssa says, answer another one, so sorry about that. Thank you, Jenny. Oh, yeah, Cray asked, are horse whisperers real? And that's a good question, because some people definitely have a way with equines.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, like there are some horses that just make it look, or some people that make it look so easy that it just appears that they're like whispering to the horse, but like actually whispering to a horse, it's not a thing. It's just like subtle communication with your body language. And some people do have a way that makes it just look like so easy that you're like, how in the world did they do that? And that's where like horse whisperers came from. But as far as like actually whispering to them, that wouldn't get you very far, I don't think.
It's more of like building rapport and going off of feel with them. And someone asked where we're located. We're in Idaho, United States, but that's super cool that you've seen Mustangs up in Alberta. We have them kind of all over the West here, from California and Oregon, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming.
Idaho, we have some here in Idaho.
Colorado, Idaho. They're kind of all over the place. Nevada has the most of them as far as I know.
Yeah, Nevada, maybe California.
Is it responsible to keep a horse and work away all week with limited pasture? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so I didn't do a very good job reading that. Is it responsible to keep a horse and be away all week working and they're on limited pasture?
I think, yeah, as long as they have enough room to like run around a little bit and stuff. Like you can get like slow hay feeders, so you could give them grass hay and like a hay net set up to where they can still like graze naturally. You have to remember that a lot of people keep horses in stalls and they're literally stuck in a stall 24/7, and I don't agree with that. And if you're going to have to like board them somewhere, I would definitely make sure they at least get some turnout time in and can be around other horses to be socialized. But you know, it's like horses surprisingly don't need that much space to where they can really run and like get their energy out. and they don't have to be on pasture. But it is nice for them to have forage, quite a bit of forage to just like keep their system working, because that's how they work in the wild. They just walk around and graze little bits all day.
Another question is, can horses withstand sub-zero? And yes, they can. We get below zero here every winter.
For like weeks.
Yeah. And we don't blanket our mules. They just grow really, really thick coats. And we feed them really well in the winter, and they produce that metabolic heat, and they do just great. Good question. Someone asked, would we consider getting more Mustangs?
Yes.
Absolutely. And we've been super blessed with our little place here, and we're in the process of fixing it up. We do hope to have a bigger place with more pasture in the future, and we hope to be able to adopt, work with more Mustangs, and hopefully rehome them in the future. But until then, we're thankful for this little place. It's awesome. This place has opened up so many doors for us.
It's so windy.
It's windy. The people in the chat have said it's not bad on the mic. So
okay,
you're
good. We have little like wind protectors on our mics for this reason. But I mean, if you guys could see like our trees right now in the wind or the dust blowing over there, everything's wet. So I don't know where that dust is coming from, but it is windy.
Cray says, can they sense danger?
Yeah, definitely.
I think so too. And I don't think it's even necessarily just like smelling it or seeing something. They can kind of feel it somehow.
And I think they can sense when people like have a bad energy to them, like kind of like dogs can. Like you have a really friendly dog and for some reason will like bark at someone and you're like, oh, you might not be that great of a person. I think horses are exactly the same. Thank you.
Oh, good. Rex says, we can barely hear the wind. Awesome. Thanks for the input, Rex.
Good boy.
If you look closely, you can see that fuzzy cat on Alyssa's jacket there. That's what that little ball is called, a fuzzy cat. Awesome. Another person says the wind is not a problem. That's amazing because it's howling.
It is howling. I'm glad these microphones are working good. I'm like trying to keep mine blocked.
Ooh, good question. Do you shoe your horses/mules, and why or why not?
We sometimes. Clyde's really the only one, and I usually only have to shoe his fronts. If we're riding on like really, really rocky stuff, he'll get bruised a little, so then I will put shoes. I won't. I'll have the farrier put shoes on his front feet. Usually his back feet aren't a problem, and that's the only one.
Mesa, I guarantee, will.
Mesa will probably have to have shoes. Josie might have to have shoes. We'll see. Riata has like the toughest little donkey feet. She's great. Rooster probably won't ever need shoes. But I would rather not run shoes on them because I think overall it does make their feet like softer when you go to pull those shoes. And so it's a lot better if you can just not ever have to put them on, in my opinion. But sometimes we have to because like Clyde, he will get stone bruises if we ride on really rocky trails. So obviously we don't want him to be in pain, but.
And real quick, Horse Girl says, gotta go. Sorry, I think I missed one of your questions earlier, but thank you for watching, and sorry I'm so slow on these. All right, next question. Which is easier to train, ride, and have overall behaviors? I think it said, shoot, it's gone now, but I think it said Molly's and John's. Which one's easier to train? That's actually a really good question.
I think that one depends on like the individuals too, because like, I mean, Molly's have heat cycles. And like Riata, all of them right now have been in heat for like the last couple weeks because it's springtime and there's a new handsome gelding around. I think that has something to do with it. And they definitely, I mean, they act like mares when they do go into heat. And John's, from what I found, is they're just like, they just take a long time mentally to mature, at least the ones I've been around. And so, like that's one thing to keep in mind. Is like Clyde is 7 and he still acts like he has a very immature brain a lot of times. So I don't know, I would probably pick a Molly. So far they seem like they're a little more sensible, but they do have heat cycles, so that's not always fun.
John, they are infertile. There's very few occasions where mules have had foals, but they still do have heat cycles and do all the activities related to breeding, but they can't have babies.
Yeah,
in
all
general.
the hormones, like you have to geld a John or else you would just have a very hormonal stud mule that couldn't do anything, so that would be pointless. And both female and male are sterile. People think only males are, and I think maybe
Thanks,
the
John.
reason that rumor got spread is because like 99.9% of Johns are gelded when they're very young, so because there's no point in keeping one a stallion. So I don't know if you'd call it a stallion in a mule or if you'd call it a jack.
I don't know either. Yvonne asks, will Rooster need his teeth floated ever? How's that work with wild horses?
Yeah, so I mean, they're still horses. Like their teeth continue to grow throughout their whole life. So since he's only like 3, he probably won't need them floated for a little while. Like we'll take him in when we do like another Coggins and health certificates. We'll just have him check them out and make sure there's no like cap stuck or anything like that. But unhand me. But yeah, he'll need his teeth floated as he gets older. We float our mules' teeth too.
Someone asked the difference in temperament between mules and hinnies. We don't have
I don't
experience with
know.
hinnies, but I've heard they can be awesome, even like riding stock. I thought they were all smaller than mules, but they apparently I was wrong on that. Someone commented on a short I made and let me know that some hinnies do get big enough to ride. What are floating teeth? Good question, Cray. Floating teeth is kind of actually like basically grinding them down.
Yeah, there's
to keep
equine
them even.
dentists.
What, Alyssa?
There's equine dentists, and some vets are also like skilled in dental work. But yeah, horses' teeth continue to grow, and so if they don't chew correctly, or sometimes just like one side will get longer than the other, they can get sharp points developed and stuff, and that'll cause pain. And so it's important to go in, and they actually use, most of the time they actually like grind them down flat and round them off so they're not so sharp. Like not round them off all the way, but just enough that they're not causing pain anymore. So good boy. It's probably annoying on my microphone when I jump.
Someone says, so impressed with your training skills and knowledge. Thank you, Anita. By thank you, I mean Alyssa says thank you. This is obviously has nothing to do with me.
Oops, sorry. Bonked ya.
Do you have a favorite technique to train mules or horses? I think the flag on the stick would be fun to try.
Yeah, I like that. I use it instead of like a lunge whip. You know, some people use that as like a training aid. Good boy.
He's not so sure about that coat on the rail.
He knows there's grain in my pocket, and he's like, can I go eat your coat? No, you can't eat my coat.
Do you train with a tarp, as a matter of fact?
Yeah, we've been working lots with the tarp.
Good question. We have one right outside here. The crinkly tarp is a really good training tool.
You want to wear my coat? Would that make you feel better about it?
He says, nope.
See, so here it's like, he's pretty unsure of it, so instead of just like going at him and putting it on him, I'm just gonna walk away. And this is gonna build his curiosity in it, because it's no longer a threat. Now he's like, wait, I actually want to check that out.
That was a pro tip right there, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah. And then I can add more movement.
Long-term goal with Rooster, I would say, is just to have a forever horse. We do a lot of riding in the mountains. That's where we love to spend as much time as possible. So we want him to be safe, secure, healthy, and happy up in the mountains. And I just said something about a pro tip, and I kind of say that tongue-in-cheek. Even Alyssa doesn't consider herself a horse training expert or a professional. It's just
Definitely
something
not.
she's gifted at and very passionate at, and she's always learning and improving.
And we really
Lucy,
work
thanks
hard.
for-
Like we go to clinics every year with people that know more than us. And we really try to like better our horsemanship continually. So we like to listen to a lot of horsemanship podcasts and watch like other people's instructional videos and stuff. So it's something we really care about and work on.
Oh wow, someone said they just came over from Cece. She recommended our live Q&A. Thank you,
nice.
Cece, and thank you to anyone who's come over from there. That's awesome. Oh, Scott has a question for me.
Nice.
Oh, is Riata my forever mule? And I would say yes. She comes with challenges because of the fear that is ingrained in her. And I don't have the good timing that Alyssa has. I mean, I try my best, but I would say yes, absolutely. She's my dream mule. I absolutely love her personality. I love her build and her color. I like her tiger stripes on her legs, even though they say you can't ride color. I like having something that's pretty. So yeah, Riata is definitely my forever mule. Thankfully, mules are pretty long-lived, so even though she's turning 9 this year, I still have well over a decade with her. Rex says, Jason, do you do training too? Not as well as Alyssa, but I do enjoy horsemanship. I go to clinics too, and like working with my mule Riata. And I want to get a Mustang one day. Like when we have a bigger place, I told Alyssa, don't get any ideas. I'm next in line for getting a Mustang.
I'm all for it.
And she helps me a lot too. So Riata, my mule, I kind of did most initial work with her just to not flutter. But Alyssa does help. Like Mesa's technically my horse, and Alyssa does a lot of work with Mesa. Oh, how's the truck been? It's been great.
Good.
We got to
Had
go
any
pick
more
up our
issues?
friend's Mustang over in Boise, Idaho, and the truck did really well, thankfully. More equines, more love. I agree with that.
We need a bigger property. We're max now.
The thing is, we want a bigger property and more irrigation, but we also really value being debt-free, so that's a major priority for us. If Rooster got out, would he run off? Great question.
Probably.
Probably.
Seems like when horses get free, they're like, bye. What's over in the next county? So probably.
But
I think at this point we could catch him though, which is the important part. Like he's okay enough.
wow, the questions are rolling in now.
Oh boy.
Someone
Nope,
said
just
if we
moving
do,
my
or
cars.
when we do clinics with
There you
Ty,
go.
what equines will we bring?
I think we'll try to mix it up so that everyone can get some experience. Don't walk. Yeah. Did it get you? It tried to, huh? His flag flopped at him. Oh my goodness. That thing. But yeah, I think we'll try to mix it up and bring. There you go. You didn't realize what it was. You're okay.
Oh, Shelby. Shelby has a question for me. After seeing you pick up your Mustang, do I have a favorite color I want? And I'm always drawn to dun colored equines, but really it's more of a feel. Like there was some grays there that I was like, oh man, if I could get one, I would get that one. And you kind of get a feel from them when you're looking at them all together. And color is on my list of things that I care about, but more so it's like I wouldn't care if it was a bay or a sorrel or a dun or a flashy pinto. If you have that feeling about one, it's like it doesn't really matter what color they are. But I like duns.
Let me eat it.
Do you have any book recommendations about horse training?
Yeah, there's a book by Tom Dorrance. It's a little blue book. Do you remember what that's called?
Oh, crud. No.
There's Evidence-Based Horsemanship by Martin Black, which I need to read, but I've heard that's really good. Gosh, I have a list and I'm drawing a blank. Maybe we'll have to,
We could put a post out or something.
yeah, because there's a whole list of books I would recommend, but I can't think. Susan Fay has a book and I cannot think of what it's called.
Who?
Susan Fay.
Oh, okay.
It's more of like a mental, spiritual connection kind of book with horses.
Thank you, Cray. That means a ton.
Hi. Yes, I appreciate that.
Oh, someone recommended a Warwick Schiller book.
Yeah, Warwick Schiller has a great book
We like
that I
him.
also need to read. I haven't read that one yet, but I'm a big fan of his.
Someone says, would you ever do the Mustang Makeover Challenge, Alyssa?
Probably not. 100 days is not very long to get one going. Like you have to cut some corners, And the worst part about that is you got to get rid of them when you're done. So
Yep.
I would rather take a little bit longer and get one going with a little more quality and then rehome it myself than go through the Mustang makeover program. There is a Mustang competition though, where like he might qualify for it. I'll have to look into it. I don't know if I think he's old enough and everything. We probably won't do it this year just because we're so busy, but it's in July in Las Vegas, and the earliest you can get a horse is October 1st. So you have like, what is that, 8 months, somewhere in there, to train them instead of 100 days. And then you get to keep the horse at the end. Like you're just entering your Mustang. You don't have to auction it off at the end. So I might be interested in doing that one when we have more time. So
Someone said, did we keep our old truck? We have it now, but it will be up for sale.
yes.
We wanted to keep it and like, you know, make it a ranch truck, put stock racks on it, take it up into some like roads into the wilderness and stuff like that. But we need to sell it for the money. And then someone said, have you brushed him yet? Yes, he gets lots of brushes. He's not actually a huge fan of it, but thankfully spring is coming, so it kind of feels good to brush him.
Yeah, he's itchy.
CC says, do you guys like the Red River panels? That's a good question.
I do. I would get a little heavier duty panels than the ones we have. We have one gate that's kind of sticky, but they do have free shipping like on a lot of their stuff, which is awesome because it comes from Texas and freight is super expensive. And they seem like, so like these panels just came from our local feed store, which is awesome that they had 6-foot panels, but they are pretty lightweight. And for the same cost, we could have got like really heavy duty Red River panels, but we don't have a great way to unload them, and the shipping takes a while, so we didn't plan ahead quite enough for the Mustang, so we didn't end up getting those. But in the future, I would totally get more of them.
Someone says for sound balance, put the mic on your hat bill, which I say even without sound balance, do that. That would be funny looking.
Yeah.
But they said it when your face is aimed different directions, we're getting different audio a little bit.
It probably would. I don't know if this little clip goes.
Justin, thanks for asking. The truck is doing awesome, knock on wood. Cece, absolutely. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for all the shout outs. That's super nice. And for sharing all your cool horses too. It's fun to watch. Huh.
Oh, are there any restrictions on adopting a Mustang? I didn't read the whole question, but I think that was the gist of it.
You do have to get approved. So yeah, if you go on the BLM website, they have like a list of their requirements that you need to have as far as trailer and facilities and all that, and it varies by state. Some of the facilities, like here, we don't get a lot of precipitation, so we don't have to have a shelter, but I know if you were like in Western Oregon, for example, you would need a shelter. So
but there are no, like, I don't think there's experience requirements, right?
no, there's no experience requirements. You have to be 18, but no, I mean, if you had never owned a horse before and you had the facilities and stuff, you could definitely get one. And if you find help, I think there's no harm in that as long as you have like a good team that can help you. So
thoughts on chips and branding? For us, we ride in the mountains a lot. We camp with our equines, highline them overnight, and we're just out in the mountains a lot. So there's a lot of value in either chipping or having a brand in case they got loose and you couldn't find them. That would be a nightmare. And being able to get them back eventually would mean the world to us.
yes.
Someone says, how do you choose Rooster? That one is a very common question.
Yes.
It's we like Rooster Cogburn, and Rooster is kind of a fun word to say. And so, and it just fit from the start, where like, even when we were looking at other horses at the holding facility, we called this guy Rooster just kind of for fun. True Unity is the name of the Tom Dorrance book. Thank you.
Thank you.
Verve.
I was on the spot and I was drawing a blank.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was too much pressure. I had that on CD back in the day when I got my first horse. Why do people shoe horses and mules?
Just to protect their feet, especially when they're riding on like rocky stuff. Some horses get stone bruised really bad and they'll come up lame. So that's why, to protect them. Just like the reason we wear shoes. It hurt to go running across rocks, and same for horses. Not all of them though.
Someone said they had to choose between us and Cece today. I guess she must have had a premiere. So, well,
We need to plan better next time, I guess. We didn't know.
Thank you for the kind words. And actually, financially, as far as I know, I don't think it matters. It just
No.
YouTube channels get paid for every 1,000 views, whether you watch live or during a premiere or in a year from now, the money is the same. Oh, good. Next question is, how do you train for hobbling? That's an important tool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to explain it all, and he's not ready, but first step would be like get a rope like this. Can you lead them by a front foot? Right? So follow a feel. They're not going to stress about that rope. And then a good way to do it would be you could use a rope like this, and you could figure eight it. Go around one foot, put a couple wraps in it, and then you could go around the other foot and work on them being like basically tied together to where you could easily get that undone. And then they're like hobbled in a safe environment. I don't want to just put the hobbles on them and let them like fight it out. I don't think that's a great way to do it. So
I watched Buck at a clinic. He had a horse that was already like well into hobble training, and Buck got off that horse, hobbled it in the middle of the arena, and he was just talking to the people in his clinic. And when that horse would kind of fall asleep, he would just flip a little rock at it, and it would bounce off its butt. And you might think, like, oh, that's kind of mean, but it's just getting them to not overreact and just stay calm with those hobbles on.
Yeah, that's the main thing, is you just got to get that trained into them, that if there's something around their feet and it gets tight, not to panic. And once you've got it to where they can like lead by a foot and follow that feel of that rope, then they're set up good to not panic with those hobbles on. Good boy. How much time do we have left? We'll go for a walk here.
Yeah, let's go for a walk. Maybe even do a trailer loading thing.
Yeah.
We're at 52 minutes. You guys are asking amazing questions, and I apologize for missing so many. We're having fun doing this, and keep them coming if you got them. Oh no, it looks like I must have missed a question from Cray.
Good boy.
I apologize. Re-ask that question if you still got it. Will you train them for cattle work? Oh man, they come in like waves. Probably not a lot of cattle work.
It'd be fun to do some, but yeah, we don't work for a ranch anymore. We've both had worked for ranches in the past, but that's not like a big part of our lives anymore.
Another question about if you got another Mustang, what color? And I have no way of knowing. It's more a feel that you get from them.
Yeah, it just depends on the individual, not really the color that they are.
Oh, Cece, great question. She asked, when it's time for another Mustang, will you go for one from the same HMA?
Probably. So far, he's been so cool that I think we probably will get another one from Twin Peaks. But I don't know, not necessarily.
At least probably from the same holding center. I couldn't imagine going anywhere besides
They have like
Litchfield.
such nice, big, stocky horses that, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And nice people and a nice viewing setup. And yeah. Okay, before I forget, Cray says, how far can a horse or mule travel? And that is a super good question.
Long ways, if they're fit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It really depends on if you have them legged up and ready to go. Ours, even when they're not in great shape, they can go as far as I would care to sit in a saddle for.
Yeah, as long as it's not too steep.
Yeah, if you're on a trail, it makes a huge difference. We do a lot of off-trail riding and like looking for shed antlers and stuff like that. And that's a lot tougher on them than if they're on a trail, especially if that trail's on grade.
Boy.
Man, the questions are coming in waves and they get bounced out before I can read them sometimes. I apologize. Should we take him out and go for a walk? See how he does with the trailer?
Yeah, I think so.
Look at those feathery feet.
He does have feathery feet, huh? You got itch right there? You want me to help you? Did I get it? Yeah.
What's your favorite color or pattern for a horse?
I don't really think I have one.
No, you have to choose one. You're like, you have to.
choose one?
I picked Josie.
Josie's pretty cool. Man, I there's something special about like sorrels with flaxen manes and tails. I just think they're so pretty.
That's true. You are really drawn to those.
I am. Ready?
For me,
Yeah, let me
it's
get your head.
actually Riata is my dream color. My mule is done with like tiger stripes on her legs, and I really like
You're
that
good.
color. And for
Oh,
those of
boy.
you that don't know
Here, come
Josie,
I can't
if you're
jump
new
on
to
you
the
uphill, I'm
channel,
not
that's
that
our
talented.
Appy mule, and she's
One more step.
very spotted. Oh, I like that seal bay color as well, Rex. That's a great color. Oh, do you set up camp on the trail? I barely saw that question before it disappeared.
Don't bite me.
All our equines are
bite
young,
me.
and so we are working on getting them better, and we have pack equipment, but mostly we just trailer into the mountains and then camp close to the truck so far. But some backcountry trips are coming. That's a major goal for us. The Josie should be the name of a color.
The Josie color.
I would love that. Have you ever considered a Nakota horse? Actually, I have a DVD on the Nakota horse.
Whoa.
And I haven't really thought about it much, about adopting them. I don't really know how that works, but they are cool horses. Shoot, I was trying to read Cece's question while I was talking. You could probably hear that in my voice. And I didn't answer the question well, and I missed Cece's question on the live chat there. All right, let's get this guy out of the pen and see how he does with the trailer.
I'm gonna put my jacket. Well, it's actually not that cold now.
Cray, why is Alyssa jumping up on Rooster's back?
To get him ready to be ridden.
Just to, you kind of build that foundation of having weight on him and getting off before it's like too much pressure, like mostly mental pressure. Good question though. Steve Young, have you heard of Steve Young horsemanship on YouTube?
I haven't watched him. A lot of people have suggested him, and I honestly haven't seen his stuff. So.
Someone asks, are warm bloods good horses?
Sorry, what was that?
Are warm bloods good horses? I don't know anything about them.
I think they're great if you're doing like dressage, jumping, that kind of stuff, what they like are bred to excel at. Like trail riding, maybe they would do okay, but for what we do, mules and Mustangs fit our lifestyle a lot better. So that's what we stick with, but I think they're definitely great horses if you're using them for what they're.
I just had another good question come in. What will be, these are all good questions, by the way, but what would be your next step before you ride him?
So I'm gonna work with the cinch a little bit more and make sure he's not offended by that, and saddling him. I might put the pack saddle on him and pack him just a little bit first, but I'll probably sit on him bareback. Today he's like a little more antsy than he has been. Just it's super windy today, so that's probably part of it. I don't blame him. But depending on the day and stuff and how he's feeling, then I'll probably end up sitting on his back bareback and just going that way. And but as far as the saddle goes, like we need to work with the saddle still and stuff like that. And then right there, buddy. Good boy.
Thank you for the encouragement, Sue. That's super nice.
All right. You ready?
Thanks, Justin. He's stuck with it for the next, hopefully, like 30-ish years. So we like it,
We're
too.
gonna walk right past this scary chair and talk.
Oh, my mom's clarifying her earlier comment about me only liking ugly horses. I always liked like Appaloosas and ones that were like non-traditional colored. And when I was a kid, we call them the ugly horses. Oh, CC's question. Oh, when will we meet the other horses? Actually, there's the rest of the crew over there.
Yeah, he's met him through the fence quite a few times.
Oh, yeah, maybe it said when will he meet the other horses? Reading and walking and filming is hard
Yeah.
for me.
And I can't hear Jason very good, so I know you guys can hear both of us, but we can't hear each other very well.
Here's the whole crew. Have you ever been hurt training or riding?
Yes,
And thank you,
several
Cece.
times.
They are doing really good.
I have a gnarly scar on my shin because I was riding one mare bareback and another one ran up and went to kick that mare and kicked me instead and took a huge chunk out of my shin. And I had a horse spook at some llamas. I tried to one rein stop her because we were riding along a busy road and turned her into a fence, and I thought she would turn at the fence, but she went over the fence. Only she wasn't really running straight at the time, so she actually hit it with her chest and flipped over on top of me and shattered my wrist. Thankfully, that broke my head from getting too hurt, and she was fine, which was great. I actually landed in a paramedic's driveway. I got up and ran after my horse because I was afraid she'd hurt herself, and I knew my wrist was broken because it was like gnarly looking. And the guy's like yelling at me to sit down because he was sure I like fractured my neck. And anyway, so I didn't. It was fine. I had to have surgery and pins and all that stuff and wear a cast. That seemed like forever. I was actually working at a stable, so I went back to work as soon as I could, and I would like try to push the wheelbarrow around with like one arm, and it didn't work very good. But yeah. And then there's other, like fall off and get hurt and get stomped on and break some things and whatever. But those were the two like worst ones. So thankfully nothing like serious. Are you gonna bite him? Oh, Bob.
Here's Mesa. I don't know if you can see her little,
She's sassy with
little
Rooster.
metal shoe on the white foot there.
Yeah, she's walking almost sound, which is awesome. So gotta wait 3 more weeks and then she'll go in. We'll do another set of x-rays, switch out that shoe, see how it's healing, and then go from there. I don't know what the vet will have us do after that, but go trailer load.
Lori says Rooster is doing amazing. Thank you. He's a very
So
special
good.
horse.
Walk across your brand new seed. We replanted our yard. Rooster followed
Lucy,
Jason
Mesa,
with the...
Mesa's shedding out good.
Yeah. Jason was
so sorry about that.
Jason was spreading seed with the seed spreader. So me and Rooster followed him around while he was doing that. And I was really surprised with how chill he was.
Yeah, that seed spreader makes a funny little whirring noise
Yeah.
and shoots out the little seeds all over the place. And
Oh, you're not even gonna wait for me?
Rooster's like, I'll show you how to get in the trailer. How about that?
So we haven't taken him anywhere. I just load him and then he gets some grain in here. So he just gets a little treat. Just make this kind of a positive place to be.
Someone asked about feet trimming. He has not actually ever had his feet
Never
trimmed.
had his feet trimmed. Come here,
Even
buddy.
in the facility, they keep a log of that, and it said he had never had his feet trimmed.
Go slow. And then I like to have him just wait. Make this not like a rush to get out. So we just stand here and get another little mouthful.
Lucy asks, is he still kicky with his back feet?
He is a little bit with the rope. I've picked up his feet. I haven't like extended them back, but yeah, that's been one of like his toughest things is stuff around his back end and his back feet. That's kind of where he's like not super confident. So we'll just keep working on that.
And yes, we know that we need a nicer trailer. We actually don't need a nicer trailer. This is a safe trailer.
Yeah, like
and a
that
good
rest
trailer.
looks bad, but the door is solid. Like
Yeah.
that's just the outer part. There's still an inner part of metal and everything. So it's just the outer part. Oh my goodness. That's really bad. Hi, don't run me
It
over.
just doesn't look very nice. We're
It doesn't.
thankful for it though, to be clear.
There you go. Thank you. My goodness. I
Well,
know.
we're over an hour. Do you have anything else to add, Alyssa, before we call her a day? And I'll add while you're thinking, Alyssa.
Yeah.
We really appreciate everyone watching our channel. It means the world to us. It's opened up some really fun doors for us, like getting to work with Ty Evans this summer and travel with our mules, and
Watch your
Rooster will
face.
be on the road with us as well. A lot of that is because people watch our channel, and we really appreciate it. All right, Alyssa, any last words?
I don't think so. Hi, don't be pushy though.
All right, thank you guys very much for watching. We do appreciate you guys, and we hope you all have an awesome weekend, and hopefully we'll have another video rolling out
Yeah.
sometime soon.
yeah, we've got some family coming, so we'll be busy for a little bit. So if we don't get a video out, that's why.